Yeah, Katja started her career with experience in the application of Chitosan in technical fields such as agriculture and the textile industry. And during her studies in biotechnology in Braunschweig, she decided to focus more on applications of Chitosan in regard to drug delivery systems. And your activities there, Katja, also resulted in a patent for a drug delivery system across the blood-brain barrier, which also ultimately made you decide to start off your own company. And apparently there you also found, besides the tremendous potential of Chitosan, there is a demand to actually source and produce defined Chitosans for the pharmaceutical industry, which is also your main focus now, producing Chitosans for medical and pharmaceutical industries all over the world. And it's not only the industries. You can speak from my own experience that we are greatly benefiting from Heppe Medical Chitosan products. Heppe Medical Chitosan is now producing more than 100 specifications, a range of Chitosan derivatives, and also custom manufacturing capabilities, which we are greatly benefit from. And yeah, we're really looking forward to hear more about your activities. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So thank you, Gregor, for introducing me. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to talk about quality. Quality is in medical devices and pharmaceutical applications really, really important. And I would like to open your thinking and to the relevant topics we have here on our desk every day. So if I'm discussing with customers or colleagues about Chitosan, they are almost all the same questions to say, why I see not more Chitosan products in the end in medical devices or in pharmaceutical applications. There are so many ideas and papers and patents and so on, and I do not really see them on the market as an end customer. And yeah, let's start with this questions. And you all know that we are coming from a natural product. So we are starting with the crustaceans and also now with the fungi or insects and extract the chitin from them so that we have as a starting point the natural product, which is always complicated because you have the influence from the nature and do not synthesize your own polymer. And then you're going almost all the typical chemical reactions from the chitin to the chitosan through the acetylation process, and can vary this the chitosan, so that you have to have in mind that the chitosan is not only one single product; it's a whole group of different substances. And to make it more complicated, we can make derivatives from the chitosan and have more chemical reactions and more different properties in the end to upgrade possible applications and to upgrade products in the end. And I will only focus on the medical field. So let me introduce the typical applications. What can the chitosan be used for? On the one hand, it's very common to use it as a wound dressing agent to have hemostatic effects in the end, or to have better wound healing effect, that you have an antimicrobial property also on your wound dressing, or that you can use it in the ENT surgery to avoid the combination of the nose or mucosa during the process of the wound healing. You can use it as a hydrogel in vascular and cardiovascular applications, as an filler in orthopedic implants and applications. You can use it as a nerve regeneration agent, and a lot of things are under development for coatings, and the whole application for the pharmaceutical industry is almost the use of the chitosan as an excipient agent, that you help the better biocompatibility of drugs, that you can control the release of an API, that you have adjuvants activity of the chitosan for vaccines, which is now very under progress. And you have the chitosan, almost all chitosan derivatives for the application as, for example, cancer treatment or other diseases. So almost all discussing, is it more easy to have a medical device in the end or to develop a drug? Of course, the whole process takes longer time for the drug. You are thinking about 10 to 20 years, starting from the research point to the market product. And on the other hand, the medical devices, they are developed between 5 to 10 years, almost all. But if you go into the structure, you have almost the same processes you have to cover. You're starting from your research process, going through the development. You look how your end product works, how it should be designed. You have to do all the work for the clinical trials or the non-clinical trials in the beginning, and you have to change some things, and you have to take the control that you have considered all the things. You have to validate the process in the end of your processes. You have to cover that you have document all the things you would like to apply in the end, also on your authorization, because if you want to have a chitosan product on the market, then you have to select all the papers you need and go to the authorization to get your approval for the medical device. It's the CE for the European market or the 510K in the US, for example. And for the drug, of course, your governmental agency. The single processes seems to quite the same depending on the different kinds of application. But what is the key of the success? And it's in the end, it's very simple because it's all about documentation. This is the thing we see the most struggling and the most difficulties to have a successful development and marketing of the product with chitosan in the end. If you look on the research side, sometimes you have a good idea and then you look into the literature and there's something confusing because you do not see the real thing you're thinking. Sometimes you see that sometimes the chitosan has an antibacterial property, then not, and then yes, and you are very confused about this, and then you're trying to have some results reproduced, and you see that you can't do this in your lab, and you're asking why this happened. And sometimes you find analysis methods on new synthesis or other things, and they are not correctly described. So you struggle with this, that you do not can really understand what the other researcher has done. If you have did well your experiments, sometimes it can happen that if you have not well documented, that your student has left your lab and nobody knows how it was really made, and because you have an incorrect protocol, there's some chemical missing, one step is missing, and you cannot reproduce it. Sometimes you remember an idea, and 5 years later you have not the right chitosan to redo your experiment, or to have or you get not the right material twice because the specification was so broad, what you bought, that you get the next time a total different chitosan, and you cannot redo your experiment and your result. So this is very complicated in the chitosan business, I think, and almost all have done such experiences. If you go a step further to the development phase, you have a good idea, your first experiments went well, and then you would like to have some money for your development, and your potential investor or your third-party sponsor, they would like to see some data, statistical based data, more than 3 times, or did you have done design of experiment that you tried different ranges of your application. Then they are asking you, do you use a lower and upper limit of your specification for the chitosan? Did you test different ones? And they would like to see that that's the investment they are doing for, in you, that this is really safe, because they do not want to lose money. And if you are working together with a big sponsor and big companies, they are looking right on the documenting side, that you have to do a really good documented process development. And if you don't have, then then they maybe do not give you the money for this. Let's say you overcome this, and everything went well, and then you would like to upscale your process because you have done it in your lab, and now you have to think bigger. You would like to have not only 2 or 3 patients. They want to have your product. You have to think about thousands and 100,000s of patients. And you have to think about how is your product can be upscaled. How is the cost of the production? Is the synthesis you have developed of 10 or 20 steps, is this really transferable to a bigger bigger batch size? And is it really realistic to do so, as is the cost in the end for your medical device or your drug? Is this working together with this synthesis? And can you use all the chemicals you have used in your development really in a medical device in the end? Or do you have some side effects or toxic effects from this? And you have to find, if you not want to do it by yourself, which is not really common because it costs a lot of investments, to find a custom manufacturing organization to help you to manufacturing this. And this is also one thing we see a lot of companies that they have problems with this, because you have to, chitosan is not easy. It's a natural polymer, and you have to understand the behavior of the chitosan, and you have to help the CMO to work with the chitosan, because they are not so much companies they could handle such polymers. Yeah, everything is okay. You'll find your CMO, and if you're happy with this, and you collect all your papers and go to your regulatory party, which could be a notified body or an governmental agency, and they would like to see if you have documented all the things right. And one of the main discussed things at the moment are the risk management for medical devices, which can influence a lot of your development. And they would like to see a lot of paper for this, that you discuss what can happen if your raw material source is not quite good, or your technology to develop or to produce your product is too risky for them, and you have to make them confident that that you have to overcome all this, or that you have overcome all the risk to see that your process is safe in the end to an application for the humans. And this is a lot of paper, and they would like to see specific senses in your application, and if they don't see it, they are confused and say, oh no, I'm not really sure if this is really true what you are telling me, because they are coming not from the chitosan sciences, and they have to be influenced in the right way, that they understand your product in the end. So this is a lot of work, and I don't want to talk too much for this what can struggle, and you know that in the end almost all developments takes longer than you thought in the beginning, and maybe there's also the money empty, or your really good workers gone during the time. But we are thinking that all the things could be quite good and in a good shape, that you have really in the end and marketing and a tracking for your medical device or drug in the end. So what can we do as a chitosan manufacturer to help you in this long journey you have to go? And this is what we're trying to do from the first start of my company, that we are only focusing on pharmaceutical and medical device industry. And this is our basic daily business, that we producing chitosan only for the pharmaceutical field. We are a certified company for the ISO 13485. This is for medical devices. We have applied a GMP compliant production here in Germany, and we are producing a really wide range of different kinds of chitosans. And why we do so? We think it's most important that you have a safe chitosan in the end with safe properties, that you always get the same one and the same behavior in your end product. And this is what also for my research in the beginning was so important, that I know if I take this kind of chitosan, I will get the same result. And to satisfy our customers, we have a very wide range of different deacylated chitosan with different molecular weights. we have different standard chitosan derivatives with also differing degree of deacylations and molecular weights. We have carboxymethyl chitosan, chitosan glutamate, trimethyl chitosan, and so on. And beside this, we have some chitosan synthesis, which we are not shown at our website, and that we doing this for our customers as a custom manufacturer of special things. And our customers, on the other hand, they are be in charge of their final product. So I'm not interested to have an own medical device or something like this on the market. I would like to see some of my chitosan in an end product, and then it makes me happy. So what things should you consider if you're starting with your development? I think you should take care really at the beginning, at your start, that then you already all know that you can influence the properties of the chitosan due to the degree of deacylation, the molecular weight. And so please, if you use chitosan, and then look into the certificate of analysis and check which is the real value you got from the supplier. For example, for our chitosan, it's known as that we have always numbers on our product, and these numbers are only the specification. That means if we have a 90-20, for example, here, then the degree of deacylation can vary between this 87.6 to 92.5%, and the viscosity between 60 and 30. And it's not enough sometimes that you write 90-20 on your article. It's better to look on the core and see the certain value and report this also on your articles. If you have other ones, sometimes you see that they are describing the molecular weight and say, we have a medium molecular weight. I will come to this as special because this is always conflicting and discussing part if we talk to customers. But also on the degree of deacylation, sometimes they're writing, we are doing an assay. So please ask, what is the assay? What do they do? Do they measure it with NMR or titration or UV? You can cause a lot of trouble if you do not know how it was measured. And if you have something which is not done, then please ask them to do so, or ask another lab to analyze it. So I have said for molecular weight that it is very confusing, and it's the truth that this depends really on the standard you're using or the system you're using. So if you report molecular weight, then please describe the full setting of your instrument. Otherwise, you will get really differences on the chitosan you're looking for, and you cannot reproduce the results from other labs. On the source, it's also the same. I think I have to hurry a little bit. You have to think about the source. Which source is really the good one, and which is the less risky one? Because sometimes also you have to you have to check that that you get your manufacturer of the chitosan, not only a trader, because you have to audit in the end your supplier to have an approval to use them for medical device production or drug production. And also on purity, you have to ask your manufacturer, your supplier, what do they mean? What is pharma grade? What is a practical grade? What is the difference? Can you transfer this to a GMP requirements? Is this a good start point for you to have it, to implement it into a GMP, or do you need GMP at your supplier? And is one batch really enough and useful for the rule development? We've seen such a lot of things that we have seen. One batch was used for 3, 5, 6 years, and then they would like to change this, and they cannot get the same results because they have not the right chitosan in the end. And what does it mean if they writing on the course that the purity is less than 90%? What is the rest of the 10%? How does it influence your end product maybe? And also on the endotoxins, I would like to recommend the recombinant factor C as a test method, which is really good for testing of endotoxins in chitosans. On the specification, the same. I have always told you this in this talk, that you have to check different ones, and you have to test a lower and upper limit of specifications and do a risk assessment. What can influence your end product in the end, and what chitosan is usable for you. You do not have to narrow your specification on the beginning. It's better to see how it influences your end product in the end, and how you can handle natural differences. And in summary, I would like to say that the chitosans and the group of the chitosans are more than 3 specifications you get from big suppliers, and you have different properties in the end with the degree of distillation, viscosity, and molecular weight, and you have to check the influence on your product. And please buy well-described chitosans and check the course of the values to have a good documentation of your development. And one thing is also really important for the regulators, that you document all the decisions you made and why you made and who made it and what was the influence in the end on your product and development. And if you need assistance, please ask the chitosan manufacturer. They are open to help you. This is the main thing of our success, that we working only on this specific field of quality with more than 250 production batches per year, and with a lot of audits we always doing during the year. And we have a full in-house quality control, and now more than 800 customers around the world on different sizes of big global players and also small startups, struggling with almost same topics. And if you come to us, you know that we have all the needed documentation and processes in place you need for GMP manufacturing or for manufacturing of pharmaceutical grades of chitosan. And we are willing to work together with our customers because we have only success if our customers have success, because we want to have the chitosan in the end as as the real successful substance. And we are open to work together on approval documents together with our customers. And I hope that it's open a little bit the thinking of chitosan in the pharmaceutical field. And I can say we're writing a lot of papers to fulfill one batch or one release of a batch, and this makes also the difference to have a low cost or a high cost chitosan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Katja. Really enlightening talk, really interesting what you told us here today. Are there any questions from the audience? If so, just raise your hand or just speak open. This is not the case at that stage. I want to start because it's incredibly interesting what you just said, and also considering the inherent complexity and heterogeneity of chitosan, I think makes it so difficult to translate research results into industrial applications, right? So my question is very roughly touching the surface. What would you suggest chitosan researchers which chitosan to use? Because I think it's really about a pharmaceutical application. Like, does it even make sense to still try to tailor the properties of your chitosan, or do you want to rather go for a well-defined end product that Heppe Medical Chitosan is selling, for example, and just continue with that to be sure there is a chance that it's going to be translated into an industrial application?
I think it's a mixture of both, because you have to understand the influence of the chitosan or different types of chitosan on your process. And if you do not test specification ends, then you will fail, because you cannot have almost all the same with the same number or with a PDI of one chitosan if you're coming from a natural product. This is impossible. And you can narrow as you can, but you have to find in 10 years the same chitosan. And so it's important that I think you have to test different ones and understand how wide can you make your specification to have the same end product in the end. Your final product have to work.
Thank you. Bruno, please go ahead.
Well, Katja, thank you. It was an excellent presentation and very comprehensive to give the whole field of the possibilities, but also of the problems, which I think are very important. I have maybe a difficult or even nasty question. Your claim is you are a world market leader for pure chitosans and chitosan derivatives. And I also know it's true. You have a very broad range of different chitosans and well-defined chitosans. That's why we like to work with your chitosans, because we know they are well characterized and they are high quality. But you also say that someone who wants to develop a chitosan-based product must make sure that there's more than one supplier, because you should not be dependent on one supplier only. Do you have competitors that can provide the same quality of these highly defined medical grade chitosans? Sometimes,
but sometimes not. And this is also the most critical question we are asking from customers, because I would like to have more competitors in this field, because it would be more easier to have a success on global players. yeah, you can do a lot of contracts and so on to save this issue. But yeah, it would helpful. Sure, it would helpful to have more chitosan producers. They are working on this field, but it's a really hard and with a lot of investment you have to do, and you need a long breath to have a success, because you have to come into the filings, and if you settle on this, then it's more easy. But it's also a really hard work to write all the papers and to validate all the things, and to get all the things on the right place to have a high quality chitosan. It's not a thing what you can do in a half year, and this is the problem, that the effort is so high to do so. But I hope I hope that more and more are coming. It was a mess that for example, Nova Matrix is not selling anymore the chitosan, so we are working also together with them, and have had projects together, and it's not more not anymore at this time, but it would be helpful to have more.
Clearly, it's a very long way, and it's very tough to get to the level where you are. But I like very much that you say you welcome competitors. I think it's also a sign to young people that there is a possibility in this market. It's not easy, but it's worthwhile doing it. And perhaps even Katja is going to support someone to get to the same level, or at least close. Thank you.
Great. So competition drives the market. I think that's what we once more learned here. Martin, you got a question?
Yes. The raw material that you are using for chitosan is crustacean chitin, I guess. And there's a lot of talking about insect chitin, chitosan, and fungal chitin, chitosan. Are you aware of any application where one or the other is preferable? Are there applications that are better for insect chitosan? I mean, there are differences in crystallinity and in average molecular weight, and etc.
Yeah, I think we are really in the beginning of this sources. At the moment, I think it's not easy to have an fungi or an insect source as with a real good purity. This is really in the beginning of the development of the processes we have to make, and we are also doing research on these fields. But if I do not see a really pure one without any glucanes inside or other structures in, then I do not want to sell this to a pharmaceutical field, because the influence of this side products can be too high to have it on my own knee, for example.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
And this is the reason why I have a lot of research into this processes.
So that's clearly a really exciting topic, and I suggest on stage to really have a webinar really dedicated for really a discussion panel on that, because I think there's so many questions. I on my sheet here, I have questions ready for another 20 minutes. So we could definitely talk longer about that. Thank you so much, Katja. In the interest of time, we have to continue, and I actually want to continue. So thanks again so much. And yeah, let's keep it open to actually really discuss that in on a different platform. I would be interested in like pulling that off.